Nick's so serious, man.
Good evening, baseball fans, and welcome to Sports Talk with Rags. As tonight we are talking college baseball and actually Monarchs baseball. As tonight we have Kevin Gibbs, outfielder from Old Dominion playing days from 93 to 95. Marty Plank, they're one of the Monarch pitchers there from 93 to 96 there, Marty?
We'll go with that, sure.
Okay. And then out of Bayside and face my brother there in Rec Pony All-Stars, and then also high school regional playoffs. And then we have Nick Ardagna there with part of the Old Dominion baseball program there from 96 to 99, and appreciate the three of you joining in this evening. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Outstanding, Rags. Thanks for having us.
Sure, no problem. And we got, let's see, Marty and Nick at home, and with technology, we got Kevin here on the road. So, but all right. So, hey, so tonight here we're talking about Old Dominion baseball and the teams that you guys were a part of there in 94 through 96. We're definitely on a run with dominating the Colonial Athletic Association with 3 straight tournament baseball titles. One there with Pat McMahon, and then also, when Pat McMahon left, then Tony Guzzo took over. So let's see, Kevin, we'll start with you. How was it there, shagging flies there in the Old Dominion outfield there at the Bud at your time?
Well, Rags, I'll tell you, man, it was a great 3 years. I tell people all the time, I had some tough days at Old Dominion, but I never had a bad day. And, we had a great coaching staff. We had a great group of guys. We're still, look, I'm in touch with probably 10 to 12, 13 guys on those teams, at their weddings and, meeting up for dinners. And so I think, we had a great chemistry on those teams. We worked really hard. And, I feel like, we accomplished some really important things in terms of, I think we had our first tournament win in the NCAA tournament in 1994 against Notre Dame. And then the following year in 1995, we actually won 2 games in the regionals. Florida State knocked us out to go to the College World Series. And really proud of the accomplishments, from those 3 years. And but I think most importantly, just great relationships with a bunch of guys who were really good ball players and really fun guys off the field.
Yeah, and Marty there with towing the rubber there as a Monarch. Talk about your Monarch playing days, and I know I had to get you on because when I had my brother and Adam Butler on, and they were talking about Old Dominion winning the CAA their junior and senior year, you commented saying, "Hey, we won 3 in a row." So talk about your days there with being part of the Monarch pitching staff.
I will tell you this: the number one thing is when you're a pitcher and you have Kevin Gibbs in center field, he made your life pretty easy. I will say that. He
Marty,
could pretty much.
Checks in the mail, man. The checks in the mail.
Hey, man, he had a glove as big as an umbrella. It's going back to that Florida State regional too. I think we had a bunch of guys out too. I think Maddie was hurt. I was out. We were, but it was incredible to play there. I actually went there a few weeks ago on vacation, stopped in there. But like Gibby said, honestly, Mark, it was. I can talk a lot about 96 too. When Nick was a freshman. We had an all-freshman infield except for Ron Walker. We didn't have a pitcher that probably threw over 85 miles an hour, except for Ron Walker. Made Matt's life easier. That's probably why he went higher in the draft. But I'll be honest with you, it really was. It was really the group of guys that we had that just, having Coach Guzzo, Coach McMahon, like, it doesn't get any better than that. And just the guys we played with, like Gibby said, we all keep in touch. I know Jesse's not on this call, but we've been lifelong friends, local guys from Bayside. And just, it's hard to think that it's been as long as it has been. It doesn't feel like it's, 25 years ago. But I'll tell you, it's exciting to see the team this year too, just really playing well. Can't wait to see what they do. But, it was all about the friendships, working together for that same common goal.
Right. And Nick here with your freshman season there, as Marty kind of stole your thunder there with talking about the 96 team. And I know that you and I talked earlier today, and you talked about what Marty was just saying with with having a lot of freshmen starters there at positions there in the infield there in 96.
Yeah. Of course, me being a catcher, I had an All-American in front of me with Matty, which was awesome. I learned so much from him. But yeah, the games that I caught were DH'd. We had a freshman first baseman, second baseman, shortstop, and center fielder. And for us to get that third straight championship, I'm very proud of that. It wasn't easy. But to go back to your original question, Marty, I give Marty a lot of credit. I didn't get the pleasure of playing with Kevin. He left a year before I got there. But, you talked about friendships, and, Marty and Jesse James, they both kind of took me under their wing as a freshman, and, I hung out with them a lot. And fast forward, 15 years or so, they end up in my wedding. I think that says a lot. I still talk to a lot of the guys that I played with, older than me, younger than me. It's still a family, and that's the greatest thing about it, and it always will be. It's funny. I have season tickets for football, and we tailgate next to a group of older baseball alumni that played for Mark Newman, and they're all in their 50s and 60s, and even with them, it's still a family, and it's just kind of how it is. And it was an awesome experience. I feel so lucky to have been able to play at Old Dominion and play for Coach Guzzo and play with the teammates that I played with. So yeah, it was a great experience.
Yes, and looking at the 94 regular season standings, you guys, they're Marty and Kevin, you guys were the regular season champs. They're 14-4 and won the tournament, start the three tournament champion run, and finishing with 40 wins, and the CAA. They were pretty good there with JMU, and then you had Sean Casey there at Richmond, and UNCW in East Carolina. The CAA was definitely a good baseball conference.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. I was just telling this to somebody the other day. Before, we did not lose a conference series in 93 or 94. We either swept or took 2 out of 3 every weekend for 2 straight years. And going into in 93, we were the regular season champs, and I think we 2-Q'd. We lost to JMU the first game, and then we played extra innings against Richmond the next day and lost and got knocked out. And so we came back in 94, and we did the same thing. We had a great regular season. Both years we were ranked in the top 25 in the country. And then So I did an interview with one of the local papers before the CAA tournament started, and we were actually hosting it that year. Marty, you remember that? And I told the reporter, I said, look, if we don't win it, it's because we choked. We're the best team in the league. We've been the best team in the league for the last 2 years, and if we play well, we'll win this tournament. And I got a phone call right away as soon as the paper came out the next day from Pat McMahon. He called me into his office. He's like, look, I get what you're saying, but that's really not the right way to express it, big guy. but I felt like, there comes a point in time in every team season where you got to kind of draw a line in the sand and say, hey, look, either, we're going to get this done or we're not going to get it done. And the reason we're not going to get it done is because, we're not up to the challenge. And, thank God we had a great squad and, great coaching staff, and we were able to win it. And I'll tell you something, I think winning breeds winning, and understanding how to play in big games and championship games definitely seasons teams. And I think it played a big role in how we were able to finish in 95, because 95 was a rough year for us. Burt Wheeler went down with an injury, and it's that year. But I think 94 was like a big year in terms of just setting the tone for those kind of like that three-peat run we had there.
Hey, Rags, I'll touch on what Gibby said, too. In 94, it was awesome hosting the tournament at ODU. That was pretty cool. Yeah, we had a pretty good freshman named Brett Wheeler. I think he was an All-American that year. But in the regionals, it's crazy. John Smith, opened up against Notre Dame. We had an outstanding game. Came back the next night and lost to Auburn, I think, like in 11 innings. It was, we were really one game away from being in great shape. And I think the next day we faced Chris Benson and Clemson, and they ended our season. But, yeah, I think he's exactly right. That 94 year, the 93 team was probably one of the most talented teams I've ever been on. It was Wayne Gomes, Jeff Etzel. But, yeah, it was incredible that 94 year to get that first one. Gibby, I didn't know that story. That's worth the time tonight to know that. I can see that. I'd hate to get that phone call from Pat. I remember one time I got to tell you this story, Gibby. I remember when I first got to ODU, I think we were playing like Coppin State or somebody. I think it's like 18-1. And game's over, and I start like unbuttoning my two top buttons before I get in the locker room. Pat McMahon looks at me and says, "Hey, Plank, this isn't Bayside," and I never did that again. So,
okay, I got to tell you one funny story. I mean, Pookie will probably kill me for telling this story, but listen, this is my freshman year, Rags. We're playing like St. Joe's. Marty, you remember it was below freezing with the wind chill?
Awful.
Yeah, terrible. So, but St. Joe's was in, and we had 2-game series against them. And so the second day was just brutal. So I had pulled a muscle in my back when we were in Florida. So every like 3 or 4 innings, I'd go in and they'd retape it and put some like, icy hot on it or whatever. So anyway, it's like the 6th inning, right? I walk in there and we had these 2 hand warmers on the wall, and Pookie had pulled a table over, and he had like kind of pulled some of his clothes off and was sitting under the hand warmers. In the middle of the game, and Mac walked in and caught him, and it was so damn funny. I mean, Mac kind of, of course, Mac got mad. Pookie got dressed again and jumped back out into the dugout. But I was like, damn, who could blame the guy? It's like, below freezing out there. The guy's just trying to warm himself up. But it was really funny when it happened. Of course, as a freshman, I thought it was one of the funniest things I'd ever seen up to that point.
And the thing is, I mean, there in 94, that was my senior year in high school, so I definitely remember you guys hosting and not being too far from watching William and Mary play, but I posted, you bring up Jonathan Smith, I posted a picture of my brother pitching there at William and Mary when it was his birthday, and tagged a couple of William and Mary guys, Adam Butler, Sean Knight, and 1 or 2 other guys. But Jonathan Smith, he commented, and then he ended up friending both of us, and here he was out in Pennsylvania. But definitely remember who he faced against, and also in '93 and '94. I mean, Old Dominion just left the Sun Belt and came into the CAA, and it was definitely closer teams: JMU, Richmond, William & Mary, George Mason. East Carolina was in the CAA those days, but a 40 win season, and Coach McMahon moves on. He went to Mississippi State, right? Yep. And then that freshman Brett Wheeler, he ends up being the head coach of Kickingham here for a few years, and Western Branch battled them, and I go over to Kickingham and make small talk with the head coach, and everybody at Western Branch is like, "Hey, Rags, you know everybody?" And I said, "Well, hey," I said, "that guy faced my brother in high school. There were Peninsula High School, and then in college, as Marty there with rec ball, and then Bayside versus Western Branch, and then college. It's certainly a small world here with playing ball around here."
Well, Wheels threw the championship game against James Madison in 1994 as a freshman, and was carved him up. Yeah,
he was lights out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And hey, and then Nick, there when you were starting your Old Dominion season, I mean they're in '96. They won 39 games, and ended up winning another tournament, and just share here with being part of the Monarch baseball program. I mean, what this past weekend was when you went to the Bud.
Yeah, so that freshman year, it was interesting because like I mentioned before, we had quite a few freshmen and a lot of freshmen starting, but without Cotrero, without Fumera, without some of these leaders, sadly the late Ron Walker, those guys led us. The freshmen were really just a supporting cast and just really trying not to make too many mistakes is what we were really trying to do. And it was awesome being able to win that third championship and keep it going. And we did get to regionals. We played regionals at Clemson, and first game we faced, and I cannot remember his name. It was Georgia Southern. It was a lefty from Georgia Southern that was just absolutely nasty. Carved us up. Lost that game. Game 2, we played Clemson, and that was a year that Chris Benson went number 1 overall, and they had a guy named Billy Koch that was also, I think, a top 10 draft pick.
He went number 4, Nick.
Okay, so they had the number 1 and number 4. Luckily, we got to face the number 4 guy, Koch, throwing 98 to 101 all game. So that was quite an experience for me as a freshman. I actually started at DH that game, and that was facing a 100-mile-per-hour fastball was interesting to say the least. I was over 2, but anyway, yeah. So I caught I sadly to say went and saw the first game this weekend on Saturday, and I was really, really impressed with the team. They play loose. They have fun. I think Finwood, he had a rough couple first years, but he's really seems to have turned the program around. Leading the nation in home runs. Talk about good for recruiting, man. ODU, the Bud's not a hitter's park either. That's the crazy thing. So they're doing some really impressive things. I like what I saw. As good as they are, I think I read today that they're the 4 seed going into the tournament. So it's going to be a tough road, but hopefully they win it. If not, it looks like they have a pretty good chance of getting an at-large, no matter what. So I was impressed with what I saw for sure.
Yeah, and Marty there, we talked about the '94 season, but '95 and '96, tournament, left Old Dominion and went to good old Granger Stadium right there in Kinston.
Kinston, yeah.
Love pitching there. I will tell you this, Rags. Your brother probably doesn't want to hear this, but we were the number 1 seed in the first round. I think we played William and Mary, and John O'Reilly. He was really our number 1 that year. I think he was 11-1, just having a great year. I think William and Mary was up 2-0 in the bottom of the 9th. We came up. I think Mike Henderson made like some diving catch, and we came. I think Matty hit a 3-run bomb to win the game and put William and Mary. I mean, we were close to, my senior year, we had a lot of close games, but we won a lot of close games. I mean, we just, like Nick said, we just had some freshmen that bought in and great leadership. I mean, Ron Walker, he would come in and close games. I mean, he threw 94, 95. Justin Kreider, but we had a really good pitching staff. Justin Kreider, Jesse. Who am I missing? Jesse James.
Johnny O, Kreider, and Jesse, I think, were the weekend starters.
Yeah. So you had guys that that came in and just got outs. Ground balls all day long.
Yep.
By the way, Nick, that first regional game I started, that guy's name was Ayaya or something like that. He was 16-2.
He was nasty. He was a lefty. He was throwing 92, 93, but I can't imagine we had more than 3 or 4 hits off of him.
Yeah, he was tough.
It wasn't pretty.
Hey, and so before we talk more about this year's team, so Kevin, what was after Old Dominion for you?
So drafted by the Dodgers, and then played 10 years. Got on the Dodgers Major League roster for 3 years. Had some shoulder injuries that kind of the last 6.5 years of my career. I had 4 shoulder surgeries. I only played 130 games the last 6.5 years. So, but as I tell people all the time, sure beat work in the real world together a bunch. And one year I just had shoulder surgery. I was laying in my bed. It was sometime in the kind of early winter, November, December, and there's something goes across the ticker on ESPN, and I think Paulie signed a contract. It was like a 3-year, $7 million deal, and I remember looking at my wife and just saying, that's not that great of a contract, because everything is relative to what you're looking at, right? And Kevin Brown had done a 5-year, $112 million deal. And so anyway, your perspective on real money is crazy when you're in professional sports. But fast forward, you jump into the real world, and it's man, if somebody would pay me $7 million for 3 years to do anything, chew my left arm off, man.
Go ahead.
Well, I just was going to say, Nick brought up some really good points about the, kind of the current coaching staff and what they're doing at Old Dominion. And, I've been really fortunate, so Finney recruited me. Finney was the first college coach to recruit me when I was in high school. So I've known Finney for a long time, and I have a ton of respect for him. Have got to know his assistants, Mike Marin and Logan Robbins, really well. And of course, Guz is back as a bench coach. And so I've been down a couple different times to talk to the team, and I've got a chance to spend some time with the guys. And I spoke at the kickoff dinner last year, and just am really, really happy with the direction of the program and how much they're winning. And I think if you really look at Finney's record there, I mean, they had 1 year where they had a bunch of pitchers go down. Other than that, man, I think they've done a stellar job, and it really makes, I think, all of us proud to see Old Dominion back in the top 25 and winning a bunch of games, and making a push to jump back into the regionals and make some noise. So I think we're, we talk about it all the time in these little alumni email or text threads that we have, and we're really excited about the trajectory and direction the program's headed.
Right. Yeah. And let's see. And Marty, what was for you after playing as a Monarch?
Well, Rags, when you're a lefty that throws 84 miles an hour, you don't get the calls that Kevin Gibbs does. But got my degree. I actually went back and coached at Bayside for 2 years. I love coaching baseball at Bayside. Not a baseball powerhouse by any means, but I love the kids I coached. And then I had a buddy call me one time and say, "Hey, you should come." He worked at I think like a Sprint store, and he's like, "Hey, I got this job if you want to come work at Christmas for like $10 an hour." And I've been in the wireless industry for over 20 years. I coach my daughter's softball team right now, but I love the memories I have at Old Dominion for sure. And obviously Matt's not here tonight with his issues, but just staying in touch with him and also seeing his success representing the Monarchs is unbelievable. He's such a great guy. You kind of look at him and Gibby together. I remember the first time I walked into the locker room, didn't have any friends. Nobody would talk to me. Gibby was the first guy that came up and, was just the nicest guy in the world. And then, I leave practice and who's out there hitting off the tee, right-handed and left-handed, 200 balls? Gibbs every night. So big credit. We just had great leadership. But, yeah, just enjoy, what Old Dominion's doing today, every day.
So Rags, I'll tell you that story. So Matty and I in the locker room, and Marty transferred in. He didn't come in the fall with everybody else. He came in the winter, and so he walks into the locker room, and we start talking to him. Anyway, Marty was awesome. He's hilarious, but his parents were great too. Tim and Kathy, baby, and they were just awesome. So they would have us over to his house for dinner, and they were hilarious. And it was just one of those situations. There was a lot of guys at Old Dominion. They're just great dudes, great parents. But I remember that day like it was yesterday, Marty. And I can remember going to your dad's house and your mom's house, having dinner that night. And, your dad was hilarious, man. Absolutely freaking hilarious.
Yeah,
great stories. And, yeah, it was just awesome.
Yeah, and actually with being at the Bud myself, I couldn't get there on Saturday, but I did go out there on Friday. And ended up talking, getting a call from a shipyard buddy, Mike Violet, while he was in the Navy. He was stationed at Norfolk Naval Shipyard, and we worked on some of the same waterfront projects. And in conversation, I tell him about what's going down Monday evening. And I tell him who's one of the ringleaders, and I bring up Marty's name, and come to find out Mike and Marty played rec ball together. And we're not going to say how long ago it was. I mean, time flies. I think it was just a few years ago, but it's just amazing on still living in the area. Who played rec ball, who played college ball. But hey, Nick, you and I go back to junior high days. What was tell the listeners what was for you after Old Dominion being part of the Old Dominion baseball program? And let's don't forget you don't just have football seats. You also have basketball seats. See you both, but what was your career after baseball was done there at Old Dominion?
Well, so really just went right into the working world. I ended up working for Enterprise Rent-A-Car for about 14 years. That's where I met my wife in year one, and we've been married now for 12 years, and I have a 10-year-old daughter, and she's playing softball, and I'm not coaching. I'm enjoying being on the sidelines and just being a dad and rooting her on. And it's awesome. This is really the first year she's really gotten serious with it. So loving that part. She just made her first all-star team. So we're getting ready to get into that in here in a few weeks. So it's fun. But yeah, I did Enterprise for 14 years. And my sister bought out I went from one extreme to the other. I went from, kind of white collar to blue collar, wearing a suit every day at Enterprise, to to my sister bought out about 11 years ago Spivey pavement markings, and it's now called McGowan Group, and it's a pavement marking company. So we stripe roads. So I'm an operations manager there. Been doing it for about 4 years, and yeah, loving every minute of it. I was out on the road. I'm so red because I was out at the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel with one of our crews, and it was a little sunnier and hotter than I thought it was going to be. So I'm beat red. I can see myself right now. But yeah, I mean, just working, enjoying the family. I did a couple years, Rags, coached a little travel ball for my nephew for a couple years, and got that travel ball experience. That was quite interesting. That was 11 and 12-year-olds. Gibby, you probably know about it, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. It got the competitive juices flowing again, maybe a little too much at times, but that's kind of what I've been up to.
Hey,
well,
Rag.
The interesting thing here about Nick and I, and you guys bring up Jesse James, so I did some umpiring there in high school, and also when I started the apprenticeship, to make some extra money, and I kind of had a break, but then a few years ago, Nick started coaching a travel team, and they weren't affiliated with the umpires association, so Nick would call me, and then I got a call from another Western Branch friend, and he told me that play out in Carrollton. I was like, all right, I'll ride out 17, and show up. And the guy giving me some baseballs. I said, wait a minute, aren't you Jesse James? And he's like, yeah, what's up, Mark? And so it's here it is, running into guys that known for a long time. I mean, yeah. And the other thing is my brother could pitch, but I couldn't hit. So I just stuck to stats and following the game. But I definitely remember all three of you guys playing, and Wayne Gomes playing against my brother in high school, and then seeing him at Old Dominion, and just being the dominating closer there at his time at the Bud. It was certainly a nice run there for the Monarchs, and Finney's team this year, 36 wins. They're gonna play a 2-game series with La Tech, and then stay down there for the tournament, as Old Dominion with football left the CAA and moved to Conference USA. But hey, Gibby, we can't close this out with hey, I know you're involved in some high school baseball, and your son is certainly doing well, and has college baseball on his horizon.
Yes, I tell you, man, I'm really proud of him. He was a guy that he's always been a grinder, Rags, and he was never the star of any team that he played on, but he just kept working and kept getting better. And when he got to St. John's, my brother's got a great program there, and they pump out. I mean, we had like 11 signs this year, 71 guys, and that's not unusual for St. John's. And so I quite frankly, for me, it was like one of those situations where you always worry a little bit about how the fit's going to be for your son, and if he's going to be good enough to do what you can do. And I've been thrilled, man. I think going to play at BCU with Coach Stifler and Coach Witten and Coach McCray, I think they've got a great staff there, and they've done a really nice job. I think it gives you a chance to compete, to go to a regional every year, and probably the best part for me and my wife, it's 2 hours away from us, so
right, not that far.
It's an easy shot down 95 to get there. So, and I have a younger son who's a freshman at St. John's, and so I'll be obviously kind of doing what my dad did back back when I was at Old Dominion. You know, he would always come in on Saturday after their game, you know, and take out of that. And yeah, I keep my fingers crossed. I told Marty that he better have an open seat at the table at the Plank House for old Casey to get a couple home cooked meals when he's down there.
Yeah, and
an in-law suite ready for him.
I love it, man.
And with having a nephew, my sister's son going to Gonzaga, he doesn't play with their baseball program, but since they played St. John's the other day, you guys certainly have a quality camera and announcers there on the YouTube channels. Pretty good quality there for high school baseball.
That's new this year. You know, the guys that are doing it, Evan Flax and his partner, they do a great job. Evan played at St. John's. His family is a big part of the program. And it's funny, Rags, the first chance I got to look at any of those games, 'cause I think they've done 2 or 3, was yesterday. I watched the Gonzaga game. And you're right, man. It's a really high-quality broadcast, especially when you consider high school sports, you know. So I think they do a great job with it.
Right. Hey, and Marty, any final thoughts there for you here? As you know, thanks again for joining.
2 things, Rags. First of all, greatly appreciate you having us on. It's great to finally catch up. I would question Nick's employer. He's making way too much money if he has basketball season tickets, football season. These are probably, you know, high dollar parking spots. So I would question his employer, first of all. But Gibby, always, man, when your son comes down, look, you know, you and your wife and whatever, you guys come down. And if your son wants to come over, man, we make a mean steak over here. So I'm sure I'll be going over to the Diamond to watch him play, especially if they're playing ODU. So.
Hey, and Kevin, I don't know what's. I mean, it is a one route there, 95, but definitely on the weekends, unless you're gonna go early in the morning. I mean, sometimes that's not an easy drive there. So we still got Kevin there as
he's hanging on. He's hanging on, Rags.
But hey, Nick, any
Rags,
final thoughts,
buddy?
Hey, well, I was just saying, Kevin, and appreciate you joining us here on the go here there through your car. But I was just saying, it is one interstate there from Northern Virginia to Richmond, but there on the weekend, that Interstate 95 might not be such an easy route, if you know what I mean.
I know, buddy. I know, man. I've traveled that road way too many times, baby. Hey, that was my son calling, by the way. That's why I got disconnected there for a second. So I think you heard Marty say something about steak, and his ears just popped up.
Hey, and
but listen, here's
Nick,
what I want to do, Marty. We got to get Nathan Travis to come down, man. Maybe he can like strum the guitar and sing some songs, and Ardagna can bring a big crowd of people up to your house, and we'll party like it's 1996, man.
Look, Gibbs, I have neighbors, man. I have an HOA now. I got to be careful. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nick, any final thoughts there? And appreciate you joining us. I know that you were definitely one of the first ones that wanted to be on, and we tried our high school buddies here right before the high school season started. But hey, you definitely can count on your college friends.
Yeah, they're much more reliable for sure. But no, I appreciate you having us on. You know, just the whole ODU experience. You know, I made some lifelong friends. You know, Kevin just mentioned Nathan Travis. I exchanged a few text messages with him today, actually. He's still living in Cape Charles and Eastern Shore. He'll never leave, and he's still strumming that guitar. But no, it's yeah, it just goes back to making lifelong friends, man, and talk to Marty all the time, and you know, I never got a chance to play with Kevin, but you know, I see him on occasion, and it was just it was an awesome time, and I'm glad I chose to go there. Real quick, we were talking about making the trip. One of the main reasons I went to ODU was so my dad would be able to come watch me play. And he not only come watch every game, Marty, if you remember, he came to every practice. I mean, the guy was there every practice. He was there and if it was within driving distance, he was at every away game as well. And that was the main reason for him to be able to do that. My mom as well, to be able to come watch me play on a daily basis. That was very special. So.
Yeah. And hey, so with the pandemic here at the beginning of 2021, I reconnected with junior high friend Mike Sharp. We actually grew up down the street from each other, and he went to go play basketball at George Mason and settled in Woodbridge. He was the one that told me about this website, StreamYard.com, and I'll download the audio here later on. And Marty, for you, I'll make sure that Ted Alexander is definitely tagged here with some Monarch alums, especially with the baseball team having a good season. Kevin, I reached out to Nick and Marty about a month ago, and I was like, hey, I remember you guys being on a nice run there in the mid-90s with the CAA and with the success of this year's team. How about let's try to get together? And Marty's like, yeah, add these names. Sorry that Matt couldn't join us, but glad that he corresponded with some emails, so maybe we can get him on. I remember a pitcher's duel there in Williamsburg, and I think it was nothing. Old Dominion, William and Mary, and Matt decided to take one deep, and so he definitely could hit there. When he was part of the Monarch program. But hey, appreciate all three of you. I know I reached out to Jesse and Justin, and they had prior commitments. Also, Tommy, but appreciate you guys joining me and talking about being part of the Old Dominion baseball program.
Thanks, Rags.
Great show, buddy.
No problem. Y'all take care.
Take care.
Hey, thanks
Marty,
again.
Great to see you guys, man.
Absolutely.
See you again.
All right,
I wish I had y'all's hairstyle, man. Making me jealous.
See you guys.